Hello, this is Michael Bruce with Tiny Frog Technologies. When you're building a website, most people know that one of the biggest considerations and sometimes challenges is creating content for that website. It is a challenge if sometimes you need to bring a content writer in. That person will need to spend time learning about your company, about the people in your company, your core values, your industry, your competition, your clients. So there's a lot that goes into creating effective content for a website. But there's one other factor that goes into creating content that's not always considered, but it is important. And that is creating content for the search engines and creating content for the user or the user experience. So the user is your website visitor. It's very important, probably the most important thing, is that when your website visitor lands on your website and they start reading your content, that they're engaged in your content and they can easily see the value that you're offering. They can easily discern what you do, who you do it for, how you differentiate yourself from the competition, what's the next steps in the process, what pages should they go to learn more about a specific area. So there's a lot that goes into creating effective content for the user experience. One of the things that we've noticed and is pretty obvious based on trends is that people don't like to read a lot of dense text or content. What happens when you get an email and it's like this long and you have to read through it? Most people see that as something they're not interested in doing. So if someone lands on your website and you have a lot of dense content, someone probably won't read that, and they may actually leave your website if they're distracted by that or if they're dissuaded by that. So it's really important to have your content appeal to the user. But on the other side of the equation, your content really needs to appeal to the search engines. Google has very specific rules in terms of what they're looking for, in terms of keywords built into content, how much content is on the site, how the content is designed to appeal to the search engines in general. So, and oftentimes these things are at odds because Google sometimes wants you to have more content than your user might want you to have. So it's really important when you're creating your content for your website to have a content strategy that's weighing the user's needs and the search engine's needs and prioritizing both of them because they're both important. It's very important to get traffic to your site, and it's very important for your website to convert, meaning when someone lands on your website for them to either purchase something or to contact you, to fill out a form or to call you. So it's important to find a content strategist that can weigh both of those different things. One of the things that we find has been very helpful is to use our blog effectively and to put a lot of our content on our blog in terms of how to appeal to the search engines. And there are so many different forms of content. There's written content, there's also video content, audio content. So that's another factor that comes into play. So generally speaking, once again, when you're creating content for your website, look at all the different important factors. Look at what the search engines are looking for. Look at what your particular users are looking for. How does the content spread out over the pages? So there's a lot of things to consider. So if you have any questions on content strategy or web development and design in general, feel free to contact us. This is Michael with Tiny Frog Technologies.